Guys, I'm back today, and today I wanted to discuss with you guys the importance of practicing tolerance and extending grace. So we here have discussed topics of living elegantly, being chic, and just living a more intentional and conscious, mindful lifestyle, and being tolerant of other people and their differences from our own is part of living gracefully and elegantly. I think as a parent and as a member of society, it's very important to me that I am a tolerant person, and not just in the sense of accepting other people's differences on the general level, but practicing that and extending grace on a daily basis so that I can set a good example for my children. And so what do I mean by that, right? So I know that when we start living an intentional lifestyle and we are minding our manners and we're minding our etiquette and we're being intentional and we're spending our money in a certain way and doing all these wonderful things and we're educating ourselves and growing and learning, right? During those moments, I think it's so easy to get caught up in this mindset that we've got it right and that we're doing everything right and that everybody else is doing it incorrectly. And in those situations, when we forget to extend grace to other people, if maybe they are not in the place where we are, we can come across as snobby, pretentious, and not so very graceful, right? And I can give you guys some examples of this from my own life. Let's say that you're at a movie theater and somebody during the movie starts speaking or is laughing or making noise or on their cell phone or something. And generally, what I like to do is just be tolerant and ignore the person and just carry on doing what I'm doing. And not that it doesn't bother me. Sometimes those kind of behaviors can be pretty distracting, right? But what I've noticed is that what's more distracting is when a group of people or lots of people are so obviously annoyed by that distraction that they become a bigger distraction. And I have seen this so many times where people are trying to show in a very obnoxious and overtly obvious manner how disturbed they are from somebody else doing something inappropriate, that they become the bigger distraction. And so I think that's not being graceful either. So I understand that we want everybody else to follow the rules and the social codes just like we are, right? If we have to do it or if we're doing it, everybody else should do so. But I promise you one thing, I tell my children this too, people will always break the rules. There will always be people that don't have manners, that don't follow etiquette, that don't follow the social code. If you are the type of person that's going to walk around being obviously annoyed by that, or if you're going to let those people's behavior interfere with your enjoyment or your life or your peace, then all of a sudden you've become a bigger issue. You've become the type of person that needs everything to be a certain way, lined up in this perfect little order to be able to enjoy whatever you're doing. I know so many people like that. I have so many examples of these kind of situations where the person that thinks they have the right of way, they are following the manners, they're etiquettely appropriate, become more of the nuisance. For example, if you're at the grocery store and there's somebody in front of you that's being loud or obnoxious, and you have two choices. You can ignore the person and just carry on and enjoy your experience of whatever you're doing, shopping, watching a movie, at a sporting event, whatever. Or you can let that person's behavior become such a big distraction that now you can't enjoy your event or your experience, and then you ruin it for others around you. I've seen this all the time where based on somebody else's behavior, other people will start being obnoxious to let that other person know that they are disturbed by their behavior, except that is also just equally as annoying. I've actually even been in situations where somebody did something obnoxious and I'm perfectly trying to ignore that situation, not make eye contact, not acknowledge it and move on gracefully, while the group that I'm with keep pointing it out to me. Keeps, hey, look at that person over there. Look what they're doing. Can you believe that they did that? And it just goes on and on and on to a point where it's like, okay, I know that person's being disruptive, but so are you at this point. It's like, let's just let it go. Extend some grace. We don't know what that circumstance was. Maybe they never learned etiquettes. Maybe they don't have manners. Maybe they don't know the proper social code of behavior. Maybe they're just having a bad day. How about we just gracefully let it slide and move on? This past December, we were on a cruise, and there was this woman on the cruise with us that every moment I laid eyes at her, and I saw her during different parts of our cruise throughout that week. She was causing a big scene, a big ruckus. She was cursing at people. She was being really inappropriate and rude with the staff. It was like every time I noticed her, she was creating one scene or another. At one point, I thought they were going to throw her off the ship. That's how obnoxious she was being. And I typically try to use those opportunities to teach my kids to ignore and just be tolerant. I know my kids pointed it out to me a couple times because I was so fully trying to ignore the situation that they thought I hadn't noticed it. And I said, no, I saw how she's behaving. Let's just ignore her and enjoy our trip. And I make that a conscious effort to let my kids know that there will be people like that everywhere you go. You are just going to have to ignore it and not let it bother you. Because if you are the type of person that can only enjoy something if everybody else is dressed a certain way, behaving a certain way, sitting a certain way, then guess what? You're going to have a hard time living through life. We live in a place where there's all different types of people. They come in all sizes, shapes, and colors, and they come from different backgrounds, and they have different temperaments, they dress differently, and that's just the reality of our life. And so we can't become those people as a society either that is so bothered by those kind of things that we can't move forward and enjoy our life. I would love it too if everybody minded their business and had manners and etiquettes and dressed a certain way. That would be great. That would be an awesome society. But guess what? That's not real life. So I think it's so important to extend grace and not let those kind of situations become a way of you to feel superior to those people or make yourself known that, look at that person and I'm so much better than them. Because in causing attention to yourself in that way, I think you're almost no better because you're also causing a scene. I have so many examples that literally if I shared all of them with you guys, it would turn into the longest video ever. Just in that situation from the cruise that I was telling you guys, every time I saw that woman creating a scene, there were just as many people around her making notice to her, causing just as much of a scene. Because I honestly feel like that oftentimes people that behave that way are seeking attention in some way. So in my opinion, the best thing to do is to not give them that attention and not let them ruin your vacation or your event or your experience. And so when my children point those kind of things out to me, I let them know that yes, that person is obviously having some sort of a moment, some sort of a bad day, but just ignore it and carry on with your experience and make sure that you have a good time regardless of how they're dressed or how they're behaving. Because I noticed with that scenario on the cruise that every time that woman created a scene, so many people diverted attention to her and they spent so much time and energy on talking about her or saying how annoying she was, how loud she was, that it seemed like that whole culture and energy in that moment shifted to negativity, versus if we just looked, ignored, moved on, and carried on, then we wouldn't let that person be successful in whatever they were trying to achieve. And on the other hand, I think sometimes people simply don't realize that they're being obnoxious. And I don't think that cruise woman wasn't realizing it. She was obviously being obnoxious. But I think sometimes people accidentally break social codes. Maybe they're from a culture where it is perfectly acceptable to do what they're doing, or maybe they're just not thinking in that moment. Because at the end of the day, no matter how civilized we think we are and how great our manners and our etiquette skills are, there will always be somebody with better manners than us, with better social skills, with better communication skills. Just as there will be people in the world that are better looking than us and richer than us, this also is true. So we hope that when we make mistakes and we break social codes, others will extend some grace towards us and let it go. So we should do the same for other people. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? I feel like by directing too much attention to negative people or people that just happen to be breaking some sort of a social code or being impolite, maybe they don't mean to, or maybe they do, by directing too much attention to it or letting that rob us of our own experiences, our own joys, we're actually causing more harm to ourselves and to society, because part of being an elegant and graceful person is to be able to maneuver difficult people and carry on with life and not expect everybody else to be a perfect vision of how we imagine and expect them to behave. So let me know in the comments, give this video a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye! Thanks for watching. Before you leave, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos from us. Here's some other videos that you might enjoy. And as always, I love you and take care of yourself. Bye!